of women achieved in the revolutions. How do you see that?
I think I agree with the report. They haven't been, because a revolution is just few days or an uprising, and we cannot dream that in few days the whole culture of a whole nation would just change and suddenly men and women will change their world's view and all of this. It takes time. It does take time.
Are the promises of women living up to your expectations, your personally on the personal level, since you're coming from Tunisia as well? Because I've been to Tunisia, and I understand that from the women I met there, that their status before the revolution was much better than after the revolution.
Indeed, because since the first constitution, which was, and the first even family law that have been enacted in Tunisia before our constitution in 1956, women got basically 98% of their rights. So the situation was not bad when it comes to the law. And no, are we keeping all the rights? Not. Is there anybody or any political force that would like to change this status or would like to come back to other to violation, basically to institutionalize violation of women's rights? This is how I would call them, into text. So the situation is still there. We are still in transition period. I am afraid that this transition in Tunisia and in Egypt, in everywhere in the region, in the countries where we had uprising, it will take time. I know that we are all in a hurry.
I'm going to ask you if you can make a comparison between the status of women in Egypt and in Tunisia after the revolutions.
I think when it comes to the reality, we are facing the same reality. With some differences. Of course, when it comes to the rights, as I said, the rights are there for the Tunisian women. And the reality actually is that despite the fact that both in Tunisia and in, both in the streets of Tunis and in Tahrir squares and all the squares, women have been there. But after that, they disappear. We don't see them in policy-making position. Even though they're extremely competent, they are extremely clever in both countries. They can bring so much to our countries, and I simply cannot understand why men are so, okay, I don't want to be that mean, but why don't they see all what women can bring?
Can we link this to the rule of the Muslim Brotherhood in both countries, in Egypt and Tunisia?
Somehow, yes, but even with the left, even the men who claim that they are progressive men, I don't see them doing anything about it. And this is what makes me much more sad, because I would assume that the Muslim Brotherhood wouldn't fight for women. We know that. It's not new. But the new thing is, where are the others? Why we don't hear them? Why I'm not hearing?
Actually, they were fighting against women, not for
exactly.
women. I mean, here in Egypt, they were fighting to eliminate all the laws that brought back the rights of women, like al-Khula and the Egyptian nationality for Egyptian
absolutely. And
so
this brings me back to the first idea, the culture. We didn't change the culture of the men, which we, and this is the problem, the Arab men, and also some Arab women. I wouldn't say that all women are for women's rights. This is not true. In Tunisia, when we got the quota 50% for the election, which was very good, we imposed that every single party will just present a man and a woman, a man and a woman. This is very important, not to put the men at the bottom of the list.
This is a debate, yes, now.
This was important, but which type of women? Because it's not only the importance to have a woman. If you have a woman who is against women's rights, what did we do? Then what is the idea? I'd rather have a dog sitting there, for instance, not even a man. I want people who fight for women's rights, who are there really to fight for every single woman, the poor women, the illiterate, all of us. And this is what we need. It's a solidarity that we are now lacking, both in Tunisia, in Egypt, in every single country, a solidarity between women themselves, then a solidarity between men and women, then a solidarity between our countries and the rest of the world. I think this would be the slogan that I would see for the future, if even we want and dream that the region will just move on and become like all the regions, developed region.
Okay, you are an international expert, and you work for the United Nations as well, and I would like to ask you, your dream is to see the solidarity between women worldwide.
Yeah.
Since you are in an international organization like the United Nations, how can the UN play a role in bringing all the women of the world together, particularly in the Arab region?
First of all, I've been 10 years with the United Nations, and now I am just an advisor with them. And I would say that the international organization like the United Nations can do a lot, can bring a lot. We are the ones hosting international conventions, all the laws, all the rights, we are making them and offering them to the countries. We are doing this with the countries. Of course, we are intergovernmental organization. The problem is not about the laws. It's about, and the question is, can the United Nations change the culture in every single country so that people would embrace and own the rights, would not feel that this is something coming from New York, we don't know who is sitting there, is it Western agenda, is it Western rights? At least in the
Arab region, Dr. Khadija, at least there are common traditions and common cultural background in the Arab society. How can it play a role, at least on the macro level of the Middle East and the Arab world?
Yeah, but this is the idea, is that I am very proud of our tradition and the culture that is for women's rights. I just hate all the traditions that are against women's rights. For instance, female genital mutilation belong to the tradition at least in 4 countries, of not the whole region. And this one, we want to get rid of it. So now the Arab men and women need to understand that we have to keep the good things. We have to be in solidarity to make sure that we really protect our kids and stop all the things that are against. And the solidarity by complementing each other economically, because, as you said, that we have so many things in common, much more even than Europe. But look at what Europeans did. They've been together, they came together, they united. And what is stopping us from uniting? And this is, again, after the revolution, we are not seeing the big picture, is that everyone is trying to find the solution. Egypt alone, Tunisia alone, Libya doing her best, Yemen. But if we understand that if you come together and unite, be united, maybe the solution will be there.
At least women should come together, because the problems of women are the same in all these regions and in all these countries. The problems of women when it comes to education, to health, the social problems, the legal problems, the political problems, I guess they are all more or less the same.
Absolutely, because we are doing with the same man mentality, and they would tell you Rajul al-Sharqi. And this is quite, and for me, I don't understand this, because for me, what do you mean? It means that he's stupid, the Arab man, or he doesn't see it, or what is it? What is he lacking? Is it at this point he's lacking self-esteem? What is his psychological problem? So that he cannot see a woman as just equal, as somebody contributing with him, helping him, like the 2 wings of a beautiful bird. What is stopping us? And I think it's about time that every single man in the Arab region, from every single party or without party, just think about it. What is stopping us? What is missing? We have extremely well-educated people. We have beautiful men. What is stopping them for just making sure that we are together in the battle of development? Because we will not win. They will not win alone. Whether they are alone in a parliament, they are alone as the head of state, they will not win. They need us, and we need them. And together we can complement each other to have finally a developed region that we've been dreaming about for 60 years already.
Okay, last week the Egyptian government, headed by Prime Minister Dr. Hazem al-Biblawi, announced the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. How did you receive this news? How did you see it? And do you expect the same to happen in Tunisia?
Maybe not in Tunisia. I wouldn't know, frankly speaking, because the situation now is they are the one
still in power.
Yes, still in power, even though there are kind of troika, a 3-party, which is quite, the scenario is quite different, actually. So now the future will tell us what is going to happen in Tunisia. And at the end of the day, whether they are in Egypt or they are, at the end of the day, I think for the people, the most important thing is that what do we bring to the people? So do we bring explosion and terror and fear, or do we really want to bring to them dignity, social justice, all the things that all together we are dreaming about? So I think that for them and for every single political party or every group is just to ask itself, what am I bringing to the country and to the people? And then it's about the people to say what do they want and to whom they want to vote and elect and have in power. And once we agree, this will be the thing that will define definitely who is terrorist, who is not, who is for his country and for his people, and who just would like to kill them.
Well, unfortunately, our time is up. Dr. Khadija lawyer, human activist, international law expert, thank you very much for coming. Personally, I enjoyed very much talking to you. It's been a very interesting conversation. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps our edition of Women's World. We hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be coming back to you again next week, same time. Till then.